بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خير خلق الله أجمعين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. So we're busy with the chapter of those things that break the fast and those things that cause kaffaarah. And then we're also going to touch a few important masail, maybe not tonight, it depends how far we reach, but like the makroohat of fasting, things that make the fast makrooh, and some sunan of fasting. The sunan of fasting and things that are sunan when breaking the fast, and a few things like that, inshallah. So we spoke on the kaffaarah, and I just want to clarify, I didn't explain clearly. We said the hanbali madhab, all kaffaarah are half a sa' of the amount that's going to be given. Maybe we'll study zakat al-fitr, because all of those things are mentioned. But then we said bur is wheat. Wheat you give a mud. A mud is a quarter of a sa'. So those amounts we gave a few weeks ago, they divide that into four. So half a sa' is a mud. Half a sa' is a mud. A mud is this amount. 2 hand, normal size person handful. This is a mud. So if you're going to give kaffaarah, and if you're giving wheat, but you can give wheat, you can give barley, you can give rice, you can give basically what's the main food the people of the country eat. Like that's their staple, if you want to call it, whether it's maize, rice, dates, wheat, barley, etc. You give that. So then, now the important chapter of those things that break the fast. So we spoke about, we said that according to the second opinion in the madhab, and it's the opinion around which lots of masail roam around when you do contemporary masail, and that is those things that go into the mouth and into the nose, whether they are nutritional or not, they break the fast. Other than that, on the second opinion in the madhab, they have to be nutritional if they're going into the body. But according to the madhab, then we discussed those few things. We're just going to go through them very quickly. And I said I'm going to explain the masail on the madhab and the second opinion, and then sometimes we'll discuss what the fatwa is on of some of the fiqh councils. So we said eating, and we said anything that goes down the mouth, in Arabic is referred to as eating, and we said drinking. And then we said something that goes into the nose, ista'ata, goes into the nose. And then we said something that goes from the backside, from the anus, that will break the fast. And then we also mentioned, according to the madhab, something that goes into the eyes. But it goes into the eye and you taste it in your throat, then it will break the fast. So the madhab looks at, like, for example, the nose, they would say the nose would lead you to your jawf. Your jawf being your brain. I explained jawf last time. That should be your brain, and then they say your brain has a path to your stomach. So that's how they understood it in the past. So they would say either it reaches the brain and eventually it will go down to the stomach, because there's a pathway there. And so they did not deem the eye having a natural path downwards to the stomach. Hence they say you must feel it in your throat. So if a person put the eyedrops or something, according to the madhab, the moment he tastes it here, his fast will break. Okay, according to the madhab. And then they say if something else goes into the body, from any body part, that then it leads to the jawf. So we said jawf are those 6 things we mentioned, or it leads to basically on the inside of the body. We can phrase it like that also, to the inside of the body, under the skin. You'd call it jawf as well. You can refer it as one of the meanings of jawf. Now jawf is a phrase used by the fuqaha. Now the 4 madhahib, they all differ what is jawf and their explanation of jawf and things like that. And we're gonna see as we discuss these masail that it basically goes back, a lot of the time it goes back to how they interpret fasting. And we did touch on it last time. Ibn Rushd said that whether fasting is understandable, the reason we fast, or it's not understandable. So when we find that it's not understandable, and Allah knows best why we fast, now you're gonna see the madhab does it like that. They say eating and drinking goes inside the body, and then whatever goes inside the body would then take the role of eating and drinking. So they say the objective is nothing must go to the inside of the body, and therefore whatever goes to the inside then will break the fast. Okay, so then we say so they would say what goes into the body, then it gets the objective achieved, and therefore the fast would break. While the other opinion is that it's an actual reason why. So therefore they make an analogy, they make qiyas on whatever goes inside the body. And the other opinion, which say it's an understandable reason, they would not make the analogy that whatever goes inside the body. Okay. So then they would say whatever goes inside the body, other than, as you mentioned, the private part of a male, and we also included the womb, the passage of a baby or of a female, that it won't break the fast. So now a couple of things connected to this is a person. So let's start off with ista'ata, putting something into the nose. So we're gonna refer to nose drops. We're gonna refer to nose drops this time. So the nose drops, they say that generally what happens is you're gonna put one drop in each nostril. You're gonna put one drop in each nostril, right? And then it's gonna go in and probably gonna reach your throat. So they say it's so little, it's 0.5 milliliters for 1 milliliter. And then when you snuff it up, so we said whatever goes into the nose is going to break the fast immediately on both opinions. But the fuqaha today have looked at it deeper, and they've analyzed this mas'ala too. You're going to gargle, you're going to in wudhu, you blow in, take in the water, it's called istinshaq. You're going to rinse the nostrils, and you're going to basically put some water is going to go inside. But Rasulullah said not to fully go inside. They're going to touch it just now. So what they're saying is you're going to put so little in each nostril that way it goes in, basically, most of it's going to get sucked up in here and then sucked up in your throat. So they say that if when you feel it here, you don't swallow. If when you feel the nose drop, you don't swallow it, then your fast will be valid. But that's on the opinion that it's only one drop. The moment it becomes more, then there's going to be more of it, and then it's will most likely go down. So basically, for nose drops, we spoke on the madhab, and the second opinion is that it will break the fast. So that's how we'd analyze it according to the fuqaha, the early scholars. But later scholars, that fiqh councils, most large number of ulama say if you put one drop, and then whatever reaches your throat, you don't swallow when it comes, then your fast will be valid. And more than one drop, then your fast is invalid. So you shouldn't do it for that. Try and save it for the night. Or if there's real need be that you'd fall into the rules of sickness that we mentioned earlier, then you can do it, and then you do qadhaa. But there must be a proper reason, as we mentioned earlier. So that has to do with going into the nose. Then we say, ihtaqan, a mas'ala connected to putting something in your backside, your anus. It would be a suppository. So now when we look at the fuqaha, the old fuqaha, all four schools say something that goes in from one's backside, one's anus, would break your fast. Okay, so they looked at it that it would go in and it would basically to the intestine, something like that, and then it would suck it in basically into the amara. They will say it leads from there to the amara. So which is basically like your intestines, and it would suck it in, hence it would be kind of benefiting the body, and it would break the fast. So because of that, fuqaha today differ, and those who say it breaks the fast. The group A says it breaks the fast because of that, because of what the old fuqaha have said. So they've just made it's just connected to the mas'ala. Group B says it doesn't break the fast, and others have gone in with an opinion that quite a number of ulama deemed it the strongest opinion, and that is if what goes in, they say that today medicine has shown that what the intestines suck in is very little, and it only sucks in if it's nutritional. If it's not nutritional, it doesn't basically suck in, it basically releases it. So therefore they say, when you're doing this suppository, if there is any nutrients with it, then it will break the fast, because then that will get sucked in. And if it's not, then the body will basically release it. The intestines will basically release it, and it will not be staying there. So therefore, that's what they say regarding this mas'ala. Okay, then we spoke on something going to the eye, but on the second opinion of the madhab, which is a principle you can work with actually in your life. If you want to know what breaks the fast and what doesn't break the fast, as a starting point, you can use it. And that is mouth, nose, nutritional or not, breaks the fast. Other than mouth and nose, if it's nutritional, it breaks the fast. So therefore, the eye, even if you taste it here, you put eyedrops, you put ghusl, you put something like that in your eyes, and you taste it here, if it's not nutritional, it does not break the fast, even if you taste it here, because objective is basically food and drink, and here, or what is in place of food and drink, and eye drops or ghusl or something is not in place of food and drink. So finding its way inside the body will not break the fast, based on what we explained just now. The eye drops, according to what the madhab says, if you taste it here, it will break the fast. But as I said, you can follow the second opinion is a principle that's used of the contemporary fuqaha. Therefore, if it's not nutritional, even if you taste it here, it will not break the fast. Even if you taste it, it will not break the fast, because it's not through mouth and nose. If it is nothing put on that thing that will be basically even an oil or ointment, then it will not break the fast. But that's based on the fatwa that the fuqaha give today. But if you just ask somebody else, they might give you an answer that it breaks the fast. And why? Because I explained just now that the four madhahib say that anything that goes into the rectum will break the fast. So, but that's their opinion, but the later fuqaha have looked at it differently. So the answer would be that it does not break. The majority of the old fuqaha, they said anything that goes into the backside, based on their understanding of the body. Today, medically, that's what some of the fuqaha have said. I've not checked with the doctor. If somebody who knows us, they can confirm for us. That the intestines, if it's not nutritional, then it does not suck it in. So they say basically it goes into from the rectum into the intestines, and the intestines suck in. So that's how they understood it. So if the intestines do not suck in, then there's no reason for it to break the fast. There's no reason for it to break the fast. And today, based on what I read in some of the fuqaha, when they had their councils sitting with doctors and stuff, their conclusion was, this group, their conclusion was it's so little that the body sucks in, and that's if it's nutritional or water that's gone in with this thing, that only that gets sucked in. But if it's none of that, then it doesn't get sucked into the body, so there's no reason for it to break the fast. Now, so the next mas'ala, now we're going to speak a bit on this mas'ala, and that is if a person causes himself to vomit. If a person causes himself to vomit, then he'll break the fast. So causing oneself to vomit, the fuqaha say generally happens in 4 ways. It generally happens in 4 ways. Number one, if a person puts his hand or his fingers down his throat, generally it will cause himself to vomit, number one. Number two, if a person squeezes or rubs his stomach, his body, then it might cause him to vomit. Number three, if he smells what he knows generally causes him to vomit. Number four, if he looks at what he knows generally causes him to vomit. These 4 things, if a person does them, then it will be that he's caused himself to vomit, and then therefore his fast will be broken. Okay, so they say if a person tries to make himself vomit and nothing comes out, his fast is not broken. If a person causes himself to vomit, whatever comes out, if it's a mouthful or less than a mouthful, his fast will be broken. This is different too in the hanbali method for wudhu. For wudhu, less than a mouthful, which they call qalas, or they call it qals. 2 ways, qalas and qalas. The hanbali madhab, qalas is less than a mouthful. This will not break the wudhu, but it will break the fast. It will not break the wudhu, but it will break the fast. Mouthful will break the wudhu. But for fasting, anything that you cause to come out. So where it must come out into the mouth. The mouth at the end, at the back, just after the uvula, around there. After it comes into your tongue, just around there, that's going to be now the outside. Now it's in your mouth. So if something comes to there, now your fast breaks. But if just around here you taste in something, you swallow something, whether it be in salah even, let's say you ate like nuts, you ate a cashew nut or something, then the particles remain and you're tasting it there. And you're in salah and you swallow it, because it's still inside of the body, it doesn't break the salah. It doesn't break the salah. It doesn't break the fast. But once it just comes out from the back into there around it, back of the tongue there past the uvula around there, then it would be deemed outside, and therefore anything swallowed intentionally, we're going to discuss it just now, will break the fast. So that's for vomiting. So therefore we mentioned these 4 things. Therefore if a person does 2 things, if he does what generally does not, what he usually does, and it does not break the fast, he does something he usually does, and it does not cause him to vomit, or he does something intending something else other than vomiting, and it leads to vomiting, his fast will not break. So for example, if a person does what he normally does, let's say he's a bit ill or he's a bit tired, he's a bit weak, and he's lying down, and he feels that if he stands up, he's going to vomit. So it's in his control. It's in his control. And then he stands up. Basically, he now vomits, because he knew if he stands, he's going to vomit. So now he stood and he vomited. His fast will not break. His fast will not break because of what we said just now. That's number one. Number two, if a person does something which is intending something else and it causes him to vomit, his fast will not break. Like what? Let's say he brushes his teeth. We'll discuss inshallah when we come to the makroohat of fasting, brushing the teeth with toothpaste, whether it breaks the fast or not. But just as an example, if a person brushes their teeth, you don't intend to vomit with it, you intend to clean your teeth. You intend to clean your teeth. So if you're brushing your teeth and it causes you to vomit, even though it was kind of your fault, it does not break the fast. Then that's about it. Then they speak on burping. They say burping does not break the fast. But some ulama touch on the fact that when you burp, some particles come out as well. So especially with small particles, they say it's impure particles. So they say if you intend to vomit and you burp, then it counts as vomiting. But if you burped unintentionally or you didn't try to vomit and you burped, then the fast is still intact. And again, if you're burping but some poo thing comes up and it doesn't come to the what we describe as the outside, just past that part of the mouth, and then you swallow, it does not break the fast. The moment it comes into the mouth, then will it break the fast if you swallow or not? We'll get clarification just now when we speak on swallowing intentionally or by mistake or outside of one control. But that's when it comes into the mouth, that's when we have an issue. But that's when we have to be careful. So another mas'ala they speak about, they say if a person feels like he's going to vomit, does he have to stop it? Does he have to stop his vomit? Right? So they say he does not have to stop his vomit. And his fast will not break because it's not his fault. He felt like he wants to vomit and then his vomit came out. He didn't cause anything further, but he does not have to stop and restrain his vomit. The same example they give if a person thinks of sexual thoughts. A person thinks of sexual thoughts, and we're going to discuss it just now. And then he feels the mani, the sperm in his body. It's like it's going to come out. We're going to discuss mani and medi and those things just now. One of the next mistakes. And he feels it's going to come out. Does he have to restrain himself and stop the sperm inside? The answer is no. The answer is no. So in this case, does he have to stop the vomit? The answer is no. Okay, another thing they mention, they say if he feels, he doesn't have to stop the vomit. If he causes himself to vomit, he feels it, but it's not coming. He causes it. The next masala is, if he feels that his stomach is churning, it's turning, it feels like it's going to vomit. Then, if he causes himself to vomit, he breaks the fast. They say that it doesn't mean if you feel your stomach is churning, you're going to vomit. It could maybe vomit, you could maybe vomit, or maybe not vomit. So, if you feel it's churning, and then you cause it to vomit, fast is broken. Fast is broken. If you cause it, and you generally causing it is the 4 things we mentioned. Generally causing it. So if you caused it but through another way, either intentionally but unintentionally, intentionally in the sense that you knew you were going to stand up, you're going to vomit, so you stood up, does not break the fast. Because it's not one of the 4 things. It's important to know the 4 things, then you can then help yourself with anything else you fall into to know whether it's intentional or not. If you are doubting. Because sometimes it just comes out. Sometimes you know it's kind of your fault. So if it's your fault, you check if it's one of the 4. If it's one of the 4 and it comes out, your fast is broken. If it's not, then probably not broken. So in the Hanafi madhab, the vomiting that breaks the fast is a full mouth. It's a full mouth vomit that breaks the fast. Or if less than a mouthful comes into the mouth, into the outside that we described, and then you swallow, then that will break the fast. But then you swallow intentionally with your control, then it will break the fast. So the fuqaha deem the mouth and nose as being outside of the body parts. That's why you can gargle your mouth and nose in wudhu, because it's not the inside. It's inside, yes, but it's not the inside. So that's why you can gargle your mouth and your nose in wudhu. Then the next mas'ala, we spoke about stuff going into the body and stuff. So now we're going to speak about a mas'ala that they mentioned to the extent, the old fuqaha, they mentioned to the extent that even if you put something in your mouth, like a string, if you put a string in your mouth, swallow it, it goes down your throat, your fast breaks. Even if, this is important, even if half the string is in the mouth and the other half is outside the mouth, it will break the fast. That's how they looked at it, right? And it's for the mouth. So in mentioning that, if you take an endoscopy, so now they're going to put that string with it like a camera down your mouth. So some of it is going to be on the outside and some of it on the inside. So it's going to go into your inside, into your jawf, but not completely. Some of it's outside, some of it is inside. And now here, the old fuqaha said putting a string inside the mouth, when some of it is outside, this will break the fast. And this is the opinion of the majority of the ulama, except the Hanafi madhab. They don't deem it. And another mas'ala that this thing we're speaking about, endoscopy, is built on is they say if something goes into the mouth, into the body, that's not nutritional. So generally the fuqaha mention like a stone, hasa. They say if a stone goes inside the body. So here again, the majority is saying it breaks the fast, and the Hanafi madhab says it doesn't break the fast. It doesn't break the fast. For the string that goes inside, they say it doesn't settle into the body. It's half of it is outside, can be taken out. So it doesn't break the fast. Not nutritional, it doesn't break the fast. So now based on that's what the fuqaha in the past said about this mas'ala of something going in. Today, the fuqaha say for like an endoscopy, if a person does endoscopy, they're putting the camera down the throat. For this mas'ala, the ulama say that the majority of the ulama say it does not break the fast unless, again, the camera or the thing that goes down, again, just like what we said just now, has some ointment, some oil, something that gives nutrition to the body. The moment it has something, even if it's water or something like that on it, and it goes down, breaks the fast. If it does not have anything on it, then it does not break the fast. It does not break the fast. So it's important to mention this because our general principle was, even through mouth and nose, goes down, breaks the fast. But here, the fuqaha today have looked at it differently. The councils, where they sit with professionals in each field. If they're studying finance, they have financial experts with them. If they're studying medicine, they have doctors with them. And then they all put in research papers to conclude a masail. They have the major ulama. This is again the opinion of many ulama. Yeah, that's a general principle according to all, but here there's a couple of contemporary exceptions to the rule. All of them. Mouth and nose, all. Here there's just a couple of exceptions. They looked at it differently. Like the one through the nose, the nose drops, they say it's so little that's going to go down. That if you don't swallow it, there's no reason to break the fast. It's not going to reach here. It's not going to reach here. So the old fuqaha could not study the thing like how we have today. So they would conclude it differently. Yeah, okay. Exactly. Then the next mas'ala, saying mudawat al-ja'ifa. They say if you have a wound on your body, so there has to be a cut anywhere on your body, and then you put medicine inside, they say it will break the fast. Why? Because since there's a cut, it would go into your bloodstream. It will go into your bloodstream, and we said the bloodstream, it suck in. It's part of under the skin. It's part of your jaw. So they say this will break the fast. Again, the majority of the older ulama say. So we mentioned this, and then now we take, let's say, masail today. So that would mean, according to them, according to that madhab, the madhab, that means now if you put, let's say, somebody smokes, they put nicotine on their body, would it break the fast if they taste it? The answer would be no, because as long as there's no cut, because I said the fuqaha say if you have a cut and then you put medicine. So therefore, according to the madhab, if there's no cut and you taste what you put on your body, on the outside, it will not break the fast. So if you put, let's say, a heat patch, let's say for pain, you put it on wherever you're feeling pain of your body, and then you taste it in your throat, would your fast break? The answer would be no, because there's no cut. And this is according to what we're saying, according to the madhab. According to the second opinion, it would obviously not break the fast, whether there's a cut or not. Why? Because it's not nutritional. So according to the whole fuqaha, according to both opinions, in this case nicotine or the heat patch, it will not break the fast. So connected to that, if a person then, let's say he takes an injection, because now it's going into the skin. It goes into the skin. So now the moment he takes the injection and it goes inside, or he takes a drip and something is pushed inside of his body, then it would break the fast according to the madhab. Not for reaching the throat, not for nutrition or anything, it's because it's gone into the jaw, it's gone into the bloodstream. So now, according to the second opinion, that's where the fatwa is going to be regarding injections. So they say injections into the muscle, which is generally not nutritional, it would not break the fast into the muscle. And into the bloodstream, into the veins or into the bloodstream, the injection, if it is nutritional, it will break the fast. If it's not nutritional, it will not break the fast. So that's the same principle we've said with the second opinion in the madhab. So that will deal with most things, anything that will basically be pushed into the skin on the second madhab, or on the second opinion. Anything that goes into the skin, if it's not nutritional, it would not break the fast. Another mas'ala we can discuss, into the mouth and into the nose. Let's say using an asthma pump. So the mas'ala here of using an asthma pump, let's say the mouth here, the fuqaha connected to which mas'ala? Our contemporary fuqaha today connected to which mas'ala? The mas'ala of, because when you're using an asthma pump, you might get some moisture into your mouth. You're going to get a bit of water into your mouth. So where does it connect? How do they analyze this mas'ala? They analyze this mas'ala from the mas'ala of a person being allowed to gargle his mouth in wudhu. So when a person gargles his mouth in wudhu, he's going to spit out the water. But for sure, a little water is going to remain in his mouth, and he's going to definitely swallow it. So here, all the fuqaha say that little remains of water after gargling in your mouth, if you swallow it, it's not a problem. In fact, they say you shouldn't try and spit it out. You shouldn't go to extents to try and spit everything out. So you generally spit as normal, and anything that remains is overlooked. So they say when you're going to use the asthma pump, then what remains from the moisture into the mouth is going to be even less than that. Even less than the remains after gargling in your mouth. So if you swallow it, it's not going to break the fast. The majority of the ulama today have said asthma pump will not break the fast, They've also analyzed this mas'ala through another angle, and it's again, so why am I connecting these masail? So that we can just understand how the fuqaha in the past looked at it and how today we connect the mas'ala. It's called takhrij. It's called تخريج الفرع على الفرع. You have a mas'ala here, perhaps they speak on something connected to the nose, what would the rule be? Then you analyze the current mas'ala, how is it connected? So now, despite there being a connection, like what? Like the nose drops. There's a connection, he goes into the nose. They said the moment he goes inside, breaks the fast. But we changed the fatwa for nose drops. Why? Because when you analyze it further, you realize that fine, it's going inside, but so little that it's like nothing. So the moment you don't swallow it, it doesn't break the fast. So the moment they analyze things further, then they get a different conclusion. Okay, so we discussed those few things, endoscopy, we discussed an asthma pump. So then using anesthetic, for example, using an anesthetic while fasting. Again, the rule would be, as we said, if it's permissible. Permissible as long as what? It's not nutritional. I think some of the ulama have mentioned that many surgeons have said that most of the anesthetics will have something that has some kind of nutrition with it. So if it's like that, you ask your doctor, or you ask the doctor, or a doctor, and which kind of doctor? We said Muslim, trustworthy, and he should actually be a doctor, but we also touched on the rule of a non-Muslim doctor. You ask the doctor, and the moment there's something nutritional with it, then the anesthetic would break the fast. So it basically a person would be kind of out of it. So would the fast be valid or not? The moment he was awake, as we said last time, the moment he's awake for one moment of the day, having made the intention, his fast would be valid. His fast would be valid. Eardrops, the same thing would apply according to the madhab. According to our ruling, the eardrops, if it goes inside, even if you taste it, it will not break the fast unless it's nutritional. Something nutritional has been entered into the ear. But the moment something that's not nutritional has entered into the ear, then the fast would be valid. So as we said, something going to the skin, whether it's insulin, whether it's drips, whatever it is, if it's nutritional, breaks the fast. Something that goes inside the skin, poke it inside or whatever it may be, nutritional breaks the fast, not nutritional does not break the fast. Two masail left for this, these kind of contemporary. Number one, it's dialysis. So now they speak in two types of dialysis, and that is hemodialysis and peritoneal dialysis. So peritoneal dialysis is the one that's done near the abdomen. So this connects to which mas'ala of the fuqaha of the fast? It would be connecting to what we mentioned just now, a wound, because they put like a catheter inside. So it's going inside the body. So it's like the wound that we discussed. So here the ulama have said that basically they differ on the ruling on it, whether if it does not give nutrition. Some said, Sheikh Muthaffar has a fatwa saying if it does not give nutrition, does not reach the stomach, it will not break the fast. And others have argued that the salts and the sugars and the waters that go into the body from the peritoneal dialysis, then that is basically, it goes into the blood and stuff, so it basically would act as nutrition, and therefore it will break the fast. So how do we look at this mas'ala? You have to ask the doctor if there's basically kind of, will it be like nutrition? Will it basically nourish the body and suffice the body? If he says yes, it will break the fast. If the person on dialysis is actually able to fast in the first place, if he's actually able to fast and it's safe for him to fast in the first place, then this would be the rule. The other ones, the hemodialysis, the one that's through the bloodstream, here they connected it to mainly the mas'ala of cupping, So we're going to touch on it just now, actually, the mas'ala of cupping. The mas'ala of cupping, the majority of the fuqaha say it does not break the fast. The hanbali madhab and some shafi says it breaks the fast. That aside, we're going to discuss cupping just now. It goes around those who deem what goes inside to the blood, whether it's nutritional or not. So the group A, which is like the fatwa in Saudi, the Saudi major scholars say that those salts and waters and sugars and things that go inside basically goes into the blood and can act as nutrition and therefore breaks the fast. Other scholars say that actually, yes, what goes in is in theory something nutritional, but actually it does the job of like medicine and not nutrition, therefore it does not break the fast. So again, this mas'ala rotates around the same thing. Of nutrition or no nutrition. The next thing they may mention, the mas'ala of smelling something or smoke. Does smelling smoke or smelling food break the fast? So as a start, they say that that you can smell scents, you can smell soap, you can smell things, it does not break the fast. The only issue comes when something has a perceptible body, a jirm or a jurm in the smoke. So they say like smoke from bakhur, from a coal, that would have a perceptible body inside it. So you snuff that intentionally. In fact, some of the Hanafi scholars, Imam Tahawi, to the extent he says, when you take that bakhur and you bring it to you and you smell it, that's how they mention intention. Some of them specify it must be intentional. It's not you walked into the kitchen. So sometimes, let's say you smell a pot of food or something, there may be some particles in that, then it goes inside if it's intentional. So if you go into the kitchen, you smell it, it doesn't break the fast. It's not intentional, you cannot avoid. But if you go into the pot, you open the pot, the lid, and then you smell inside, and then something goes inside, you feel it inside or you taste it, then in that case it will break the fast. But that's not for any scent. That's not for any smell or scent. It's for those things that have a perceptible body. So most times, like perfumes, something you spray will not have a perceptible body. So you might spray it and then taste it here, but it can go inside or something. It will not break the fast. It will not break the fast. And this is the opinion of the majority of the ulama. The Shafi madhab actually are a bit more lenient in this, to the extent where they say like smoke and stuff does not break the fast. So if a person feels that now he's starting to doubt his fast, he's smelling this, oh no, is it breaking my fast, things like that, in this case he can follow the other opinion to avoid waswasa, to avoid any doubts coming into his ibadah, and then his fast is correct. They say istimna. Now we're speaking about a mas'ala of a person doing something, basically now going to a person's desire. So where they causing many or many to come out of his body. So many is now basically sperm, and many is basically preseminal fluid. So many is like a white, thin, kind of elastic fluid that comes out of a body, where a person's private part when he thinks of sexual thoughts, and it just comes out like a string. And then many, it comes out, it like splashes out, squirts out, and it comes out. It's not white; it's a thick kind of a liquid that comes out. And usually after that comes out, a person like is kind of sexually kind of satisfied. So that's how they describe many and medi. So this can happen in 3 or 4 ways. Number one, if a person thinks of sexual thoughts, and he then many comes out of him because of thoughts, the fast will not break. So that's with thoughts. The second thing is with looking. If a person looks, then they say one look. If a person makes one look and many or maybe comes out, it does not break the fast. If he has more than one look, then many comes out, sperm, it breaks the fast. But if many comes out, preseminal fluid, it does not break the fast. So they say because looking is something difficult for a person to control. He could look once, twice, and then many comes out quickly. Ali radiallahu anhu says, كنت رجلا من ذا, and I was a man who lots of preseminal fluid used to come out of me. So it's something, so therefore for looking, only many, but it must be more than one look. Then the third way is now skin to skin, mubashara. So mubashara is either if you touch skin on skin, or it's basically foreplay. It can be one of those two, skin on skin or foreplay. So they say if the person sexually touches, in this case would be his spouse, either mubashara or intercourse. So let's say mubashara first. If he does mubashara, skin on skin, and many or many comes out, his fast will be broken, and he only has to do qadhaa, not kaffaarah, but qadhaa. Many or many. The second opinion in the hanbali madhab is if many comes out from mubashara, skin on skin, does not break the fast. This is the opinion of Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullahi alayh. And the last one is intercourse. Intercourse is a whole chapter they have. The intercourse is will break the fast and will cause kaffaarah. It cause kaffaarah, the major kaffaarah. And then they say hijama. So hijama is cupping. So according to the madhab, so there's again the two madhahib, the two opinions in the madhab look at it differently, the reason for hijama. So first, the hanbali madhab says the hijama is something that breaks the fast because they authenticate the ahadith, and they say that it's reported from like 6 or 7 of the Sahaba of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, where they deemed hijama, cupping, to break the fast. Hence, the Hanbali madhab is the only madhab that deems hijama, cupping, to break the fast. So they say any person who does the cupping, the doer of the cupping, which is called hajib, if a person is called a hajim, he's doing the cupping, no matter how he does the cupping, his fast will break. And any person who cupping is done on, whether through the mouth or through something else, the cup that they put, whatever it may be, the moment he is somebody who cupping is done on, his fast will break. So they looked at it and they called it, in usul you call it illa qasira. So therefore, based on that, you don't make qiyas on it. So this is important to know. I'm not explaining that because it's for mashayikh or usul fiqh to understand it. Otherwise, it's a bit of explanation. Based on that, you understand the mas'ala of dialysis. Can you make qiyas on hijama? The riwayah thaniya, the second opinion in the hanbali madhab, Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah alayhi rahmatullah's opinion, he says that there is actually a reason why hijama breaks the fast. The first opinion said there's no specific reason. It's the reason that's Allah knows the reason. They call it ta'abbudi. Here they say there's a reason. Number one, he says that for the person doing the cupping, usually it's done with the mouth, so you're going to basically swallow in some blood. So they say it will break the fast because this is a thing that could cause blood to reach the throat and therefore break the fast. So if it's not done with the mouth, it's used, something else is used like cups or something, machine, whatever it may be, then the person his fast would not break. His fast would not break, right? And the person who the hijama is done on, they say his fast will break. But why? They say because when you extract blood from the body, you extract a decent amount, and therefore it could weaken the person. And if it weakens the person, he might not be able to fast the rest of the day. So he might then have to break his fast because he's sick or he's too weak or unwell. So therefore, they say if blood is extracted, a decent amount of blood is extracted from the body, then the fast will break. And based on these two things we've mentioned, we can then touch on other masail like donating blood, for example. According to the madhab, blood coming out of the body would be okay because they only say blood coming out through hijama, through cupping, breaks the fast. So according to them, the madhab, donating blood would be valid. Taking out blood from the body would not break the fast. The second opinion, Ibn Taymiyyah's opinion, he says there's a reason why hijama breaks the fast for the person it's done on, and that is extraction of blood, so it will make him weak. So therefore, extraction of blood, donating blood, especially if it's a bit that will make him weak, in this case it will break the fast and it won't be permissible. So that's how we look at it according to these two opinions. So some of the mutaakhirin, some of the later Hanbali scholars, they say وَظَهَرَ الدَّمْ, that you do the hijama and blood must come. So our fuqaha say, many of them say it's not mentioned like that according to most. It's Ibn Taymiyyah's opinion that if the person does hijama and blood shows, because sometimes you do hijama and no blood comes out, in that case the fast would not break. According to most of the ulama, it would break because the person was caught, somebody who's done cupping, and someone's cupping was done also, irrespective of blood or no blood, break the fast. Because they say we don't understand the reason. Allah knows best the reason why cupping breaks the fast. The second opinion says there's a reason, and that is because if you suck in blood, you might swallow. So if blood is not sucked in and cupping is done, it's permissible. And the reason why the person it's done on his fast breaks, because it will weaken his body. So anything that causes extraction of blood that causes weakness in the body will not be allowed. We can break the fast. Maybe it should be makrooh because it's connected to the other masail we're going to touch on just now, maybe in next dars, and that is things that do not break the fast, but they could lead to the fast breaking. Then the fuqaha say don't do it, say it's makrooh to do it. So maybe it's connected to that. So that the reward will be less. Or they say it's makrooh so that you don't do it, because if you do it, perhaps then it will lead you to breaking your fast. Because beyond a certain point, then you might feel weak, you might feel dizzy, you might need to drink. So then you don't do it, because then when you need to do those things, you have to break your fast. So they say makrooh, so don't until that amount of blood. Yeah, especially if it will lead to weakening or something, dizziness or something like that, then it's better not to do it, because you don't want to do something voluntarily that would harm the fast. Because you can donate blood, let's say after Ramadan, maybe at night. If it's an operation or something, it's different. If you can't delay to the night or after Ramadan, then it's different, then you have an excuse. So they say a person whose fast breaks is a person who does it, they say عامدا ذاكرا مختارا. So these are the three things that a person, when he does something that breaks the fast, these three things must be found. If these three things are found in the person, his fast then breaks. If these three things are not there, or one of them is not there, then his fast will not break. So what does that mean? That he intentionally does what he's doing. He's intentionally eating, he's intentionally drinking, he's intentionally putting something down his nose. These things will break the fast. And if he does it forgetfully, he eats forgetfully, he drinks forgetfully, he doesn't realize that something goes down, does not break the fast. So dhakiran, he's aware, he remembers that he's fasting. He doesn't, even if he doesn't know the rule, if he doesn't know the rule and he does this thing, his fast will be broken. He doesn't know the rule, and he does this. When he finds out that, oh, actually this thing breaks the fast, he has to do qadhaa. But he has to be aware that he's fasting. So if he doesn't realize he's fasting, and he ate a drink, or did something like that, or he did something with his wife, not realizing he's fasting, his fast then will not break because he did not realize. The other one is mukhtaran. So mukhtaran means he is not compelled to do something. He chooses to do it. Therefore, if something happened with a sleeping person, somebody is sleeping and water was poured down his throat, or the person is unconscious, he fainted, or he's just out, he's unconscious, and somebody put water down his throat, will his fast break? His fast will not break. His fast will not break because he did not do it with his own choice. It was done on him without his choice. So therefore, what they say if, for example, dust goes inside, or a fly goes inside, that's how they phrase it, then his fast will not break because he can't avoid these things. He can't avoid these things. Okay, then they say a wet dream does not break the fast. A wet dream does not break the fast. With regards to, we say a wet dream does not break the fast. If a person had intercourse at night, and then many came out of him in the day, but the intercourse of the skin on skin was at night, his fast would be valid. And if he did skin on skin in the day, he did foreplay or something in the day, but he only ejaculated at night, his fast would be valid. His fast would be valid. And then we have, so then they say if a person wakes up in the morning, let's say after suhoor, or at suhoor, after suhoor, the fast has already started, and he still has particles of food in his mouth, it doesn't affect. Then he just spits it out. And then they say if the particle is not able to take it out of his mouth, then he can swallow it, because then he can't help it. They also say if a person finds particles in his mouth that's so tiny and small that he cannot distinguish it and differentiate it from his spit, and he happens to swallow it, his fast would be valid. But if he can, the particle is a bit big, he can differentiate it in his spit, and then he عامداً ذاكراً مختاراً, he did it intentionally, remembering his fasting, and under his own choice, he realized that he's got something in his mouth. He realized he's fasting. He knew it. He's woke up. That's why when he felt something, he realized, oh, there's something in my mouth. Realizing it, why? Because he's fasting. And then he can distinguish it from his spit. Then he swallows it. Then his fast would be invalid. So the moment he can't differentiate it from his spit, or he just swallowed it without even thinking, even if vomit came in and he just swallowed it back without realizing what he's doing, without realizing he's fasting, without realizing he's not allowed to. People do that. Then his fast would be valid. They mention a mas'ala of a person, let's say he stems on a certain type of plant that has taste, or he puts like an ointment underneath his feet, then he places it here, it will not break his fast. It will not break his fast. According to the madhab, why? Because it's not a wound under his foot. So then tasting it here will not break the fast. And according to the second opinion, it's not nutritional anyway, so it will not break the fast. The last few masail, that they say if a person takes a shower or a bath, or ghusl, or he rinses his mouth, gargles his mouth or his nostrils, or he gargles his mouth and nostrils more than 3 times in wudhu, or ghusl more than 3 times, or he goes mubalagha, does it to the full level. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, قاعدة في الاستنشاق ما إن لم تكن صائمة. If you go do the proper full on gargling in your mouth, as long as you're not fasting. So what is the full fasting and the full gargling and the full nostril, that the full sunnah will be achieved? They say, the fuqaha say, if you take some water in your hand and then you put it in your mouth, the minimum amount that would count as madmada, as gargling in your mouth, would be just as swirling the water out. So you just put in, and then you swirl it around, you spit it out. As little as possible that you swirl it. If you just put in and you spit out, does not count. Madmada does not count. The full amount would be that you swirl it around your entire mouth. You make sure it reaches everywhere. And then you spit it out, that will be a complete madmada. With the mubalagha that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam encouraged doing. And for your nose, If you snuff it in, and you snuff it in a little bit, that it just goes a little up, that would be minimum. So if you just put the water by your nostril, and you don't really sniff, or you barely sniff, you barely put anywhere, it doesn't count. And the maximum will be here when it reaches the soft skin of your nose, around there, a person, you could say he gets hurt or something, but if you just snuff it in slowly, gently, then it won't. And if you even clear the nose path for recitation of the Quran. So that would be mubalagha. That a person should not do while he's fasting. So if he does it, he does the mubalagha, or more than 3 times, or he gargles his mouth, or rinses his nostrils, or he takes a ghusl in the day in Ramadan while he's fasting, and then the water goes down his throat or down his nose unintentionally, then his fast will be valid. So they say that we said mubalagha is makrooh. Mubalagha in mouth and nose is makrooh for a person when he's fasting. And they also say that gargling in the mouth and nose is makrooh if it's done for no reason. Or it's done more than 3, as we said, or 3 in wudhu and ghusl, or it's done for thirst, or it's done because of heat. He gargles his mouth or nose. All of that is makrooh. If water reaches down his throat, his fast is valid, because it's not intentional, but it will be makrooh to do that. Imam Ahmad was asked about a person gargling his mouth and nose for thirst or for feeling hot. I'm not sure which of the two. So he said, I don't like a person doing that. Rather, he poured water on his chest to cool himself down. Then they say, if a person goes for a bath or goes for a swim, wherein what's going to happen is that is not obligatory. It's not the ghusl. That is sunnah or wajib, or it's not for cooling down. When water goes inside, this will be makrooh. Before water goes inside, he just does it, other than for the ghusl that he has to do this wajib or sunnah, or for cooling oneself down, and it will be makrooh. If water goes down, his fast will not break. So the question comes, some fuqaha ask that why is it okay to take a ghusl or go for a swim to cool oneself down, but it's makrooh to gargle your mouth and nose because to cool yourself down. Because it's hot. So for one it's allowed, for one it's not allowed. So some of the fuqaha have answered, and they said that the reason probably is because when you gargle your mouth and your nose, there's more likely a chance water goes down your throat than when you go for a swim. There's more likely when you gargle that it will go down your throat than you swim. So perhaps that's why the one is makrooh and the one is not makrooh. So then they mention the ruling on doing ghusl if a person is in janabah before Fajr comes in. So they say he can delay his ghusl, or she can delay her ghusl until after Fajr comes in, it's fine. To the extent where they say that if a lady or person delays their ghusl a few days, it's fine. The fast will be valid and there's no problem, but they have the issue of leaving the salah. In the Hanbali madhab, there's a question whether a person leaves Islam or not. So if they leave Islam, then the fast will be broken because of riddah. Otherwise, the fast will be valid. But they say it's mustahab, it's recommended to finish your ghusl before Fajr comes in, just because of the small difference of opinion in the mas'ala. Then they say on, if you see somebody eating the day in Ramadan and he should be fasting, and he's forgetfully eating, he's going to eat forgetfully, then do you have to tell the person, do you have to remind him and tell him, don't eat, you're fasting, something like that, if you see him? Then they say, yes, it's wajib for a person to warn somebody else who's going to eat and drink to not do so. That's just like how they say it's wajib for a person to wake somebody else who's sleeping, and wake him up or her up to read salah if there's just a small amount of time left. So then you have to wake that person up to read the salah. You can't say there's an excuse for sleeping, or there's an excuse he's going to eat or drink out of forgetfulness or leaving. They say you have to inform him. Then the final mas'ala we speak about, let's try and go through it quickly. Shaykh Abdul Nasir, we'll just finish the last mas'ala and then we can ask your question after. Okay, so they say about breaking the fast. So we're gonna summarize it. Okay, so they say now 2 things. Either it's at sunset, it's for breaking the fast for sunset, or Fajr coming in, and the person having suhoor. So they say that either can be ghalabatu one, they can either be yaqeen, or they can either be shak. So shak means doubt. So you doubt. There's 50-50. The shak doubt means 50-50. Maybe it came in, maybe it didn't come in. Maybe it's sunrise, maybe Fajr came in or not. I'm not sure. It all 50-50. Ghalabatu one means there's more. That means that you incline to one side more than the other. So It's most likely Fajr came in. Most likely, not sure, but most likely. Or most likely it's sunset, but I'm not sure. So shak, doubt is 50-50. It could be. I'm not sure. It's all. Ghalabatul dhann, we're going to use the Arabic terms. Ghalabatul dhann or dhann is most likely it came in or it didn't come in, but most likely. And the last one is yaqeen. Yaqeen is for sure sunrise with Fajr came in, or for sure a sunset is there. And so they say we start with sun, we start with Fajr coming in, end of suhoor. So if a person is doubtful whether suhoor has ended or not, if he's doubtful, shak, 50-50, then he's allowed to eat. He's allowed to eat until he's certain. Now, he ate, let's say he ate when there's doubt. He ate when there's doubt. He ate when there's shak. If the doubt continues, his fast will be valid. Until he realized some way, basically maybe he had no electricity and then he saw his watch later, or he's in a dark room, he couldn't get access. If later on he found out that when he ate, the time of fasting had already started, then he has to do qadhaa. If he could not get certainty whether he ate during the day or during when fasting had to start or not, then there's no qadhaa, because the al-aslu baqa'un layl, al-aslu baqa'un layl, because the night continuing is the starting point. So if a person then had iftar, he broke his fast with shak, with doubt whether sunset had occurred or not, then in this case he has to do qadhaa. He has to do qadhaa of that day. He has to do qadhaa of that day, unless he finds out that the time he ate was already after sunset. In that case, no qadhaa. So that's number one. Number two is one. If a person eats at suhoor and he's saying most likely Fajr came in, most likely Fajr came in, and he ate, right? So, join the two together. Either most likely, or for sure he thinks Fajr came in and he ate, right? And then he thinks it's Fajr. He thinks, and he ate. His fast will not be valid. His fast will not be valid. So now let's say he ate, thinking, not for sure. And then he found out that actually it was night still. It was night still. In this case, they say his fast is not valid still. The reason for that is because he ate knowing it was probably day. He's not supposed to eat. So he broke his intention of fasting. He kind of intentionally ate. But then when he found out it's night, still, what he's supposed to do is renew his intention, because he broke his intention. We said istishab al-hukm. He has to think of that. He has to make sure no intention of breaking the fast happens. So here, he had the intention. He basically did not renew his intention before the time of fasting started. Therefore, his fast will not be valid. He has to do qadhaa. He has to do qadhaa, even if he found out it was still at night. Then, if he breaks his fast with most likely sunset. So the fuqaha say, if you doubt it's sunset, we're going to speak in more details later, but if you doubt it's sunset, then you cannot break your fast. Because we said if he breaks his fast, qadhaa immediately, unless he finds out the other way. Because there, the starting point is the day continues. The day continues. So that's what you take in with you, unless you're sure night is come. The second thing is that he most likely thinks sunset has occurred. In this case, the fuqaha allow him to break the fast. They say it's permissible, but it's better to be certain. It's better to be certain that sunset has come. But if he thinks most likely it came, then he's allowed to break it fast, and then it will be valid. Unless he finds out later what? He finds out later that he broke his fast at the time when it was not yet sunset. Then they say if he broke his fast thinking it was sunset, and then he doubts thereafter, I'm not sure whether it was sunset or not, then his fast will be valid unless he confirmed otherwise. And they say this happened in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where it was cloudy in the sky, and they broke their fast. Asma radiallahu anha narrates this hadith, and the narrator of this hadith, Hisham ibn Urwa, he said that he was asked that, okay, because they broke their fast thinking the sun had set, but it was cloudy. And then the clouds went away and they saw the sun was not set yet. So Hisham ibn Urwa asked, did they have to do qadhaa? Then he said for sure they had to do qadhaa. So in this case, you have to do qadhaa if you find out that the sun had not yet set. So now if a person eats at Fajr, the last mas'ala I think, a person eats at Fajr at the end of suhoor, but not realizing it's the end of suhoor. So he's just eating, and then he checks his watch quickly, he realizes all the time is in, and then he stops eating. If there's something in his mouth, he takes it out. And in this case, his fast would be valid. His fast would be valid. And I think we end there. I think we covered most of the masail today. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين الحمد لله رب العالمين. Any questions? Yes.
3 questions.
Okay.
The first one, just to verify, is salah of doubt whether the sun is right or not is similar to the masala of a prisoner who was in a doubt that if it is the Shaba or the Ramadan, and he completes his fast and later on he realized it was not Ramadan while he was fasting, and then he has to do the qadhaa.
There's 2 angles. The prisoner himself, he'd assume sunrise and sunset. And then if he finds out later that he was wrong, he does qadhaa, just like what you said. For a person connecting this masala from another angle, this person who's not a prisoner or something like that, he doesn't have an excuse because he has some access to something, either outside if he can see, if he knows the signs, or he's got apps to show the time, or there's a timetable city sent out. So this person has less of an excuse. He has less of an excuse. The prisoner has more of an excuse. And especially when this guy doesn't know, his fast will be valid. And this person who broke his fast, for example, not sure of sunset, not sure shak, he has to do qadhaa immediately. That other person, if he's not sure, the prisoner, then his fast will be valid. So it differs and it's similar in something.
2 questions can I combine? You mentioned if out of the sexual thoughts, if the money only comes out, then it doesn't break the fast.
If he doesn't break the fast, if what? If the mani already comes out because of?
Just thinking of this.
Yeah, I said mani and madi, if it comes out because of thinking, does not break the fast. If it comes out of thinking, does not break the fast. If it comes out of wet dream, does not break the fast. If madi comes out from looking, does not break the fast. Mani comes out in looking more than once breaks the fast. And skin on skin or foreplay, madi or mani comes out according to your method, the fast breaks. The second opinion for that, foreplay or skin on skin, madi comes out, does not break the fast.
In this first masala of just one question.
No problem.
In this masala of this thinking of this thoughts, we are thinking about the mentally thinking, or it just came to your mind like that, or intentionally of thinking about it.
Whether the fast breaks or not, if mani comes out, mani does not require ghusl. Many does not require ghusl, but many does not require ghusl, but many requires ghusl. Many requires ghusl, that's right. Whether it breaks the fast or not. And he's allowed to do ghusl. During fasting, it's permitted. And you also have to be a person who's not affected with waswasa. A person affected with waswasa, he has lots of thoughts in his mind. He starts salah, he doubts, did I start salah? He does 3 rak'at, he doubts, did I did 3 or 4? So this person, the ruling of thinking and breaking the fast does not apply to him. So if this person, if he's going to have doubts, did I break my fast through thoughts or not, this rule does not apply to him. Through a normal person who can control his thoughts and himself. Okay, then we end there. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين.